Do you teach art, or do you teach kids through art? I thought of this last night, put it up as a quote on my blog and in some Facebook groups, and the response was interesting. There were even people who felt threatened by this, and it could be on the heels of my previous video, which talked about cookie cutter art. But in a public school setting, and that's really what I'm talking about, not private school or a camp situation, but in a public school, am I an art teacher first, or am I a teacher? In my way of thinking, I'm a teacher who happens to use art as a way to teach my students and connect with them and empower them and get their creative juices flowing, and learning about all the connections that art has to geometry, math, history, science, physics, when you talk about color mixing, when we do ceramics, there's chemistry involved in that. So we're kind of the hub of the educational wheel. Everything connects to art in some way. And I would argue that it's the most important subject a child can have if it's done well. As long as we move away from this model, things are great. Connections are made, our students succeed at higher rates, and I talk about that in my previous video. But this idea, do we teach art or do we teach kids through art? And I really think that distinction is important, because really we know that only 2% of students are going to go on to an art-related career. And when I see a project like this, we're teaching art. We're teaching a skill. We got to follow along. We've got to make this thing. And we're not taking the child or the children into consideration when we do something like that. Because no child is going to be like, ooh, I want to do that, as they're walking through a museum. Obviously, the art teacher has to, excite the children about it, and we can give a good story and then, make them excited about it. But naturally, this is not going to, kind of grab their attention. That somehow we need to connect with who they are, where they're at, what they're thinking, and kind of create the bridge, to education through art, making those connections. And that happens in the demonstration. It happens, as we introduce the lesson, and it happens as we encourage them as they continue through. Because if, little Joey is having a hard time, just putting elements on a page to make it look like it's, three-dimensional in a way, Susie might be advanced enough that in third grade we could even talk to perspective a little bit, with her, in her particular project. So we differentiate, kind of that way. But we don't need to have this formula, because a formula, it's about the formula. It's not about the child. So we need to come at it, where are they at? What is going to kind of grab them? And we have to kind of keep the curriculum in mind. But if your curriculum is you have to do this, that's not curriculum. That's something else. It's a contract, There's nothing creative about that. So the art teacher and our certified, background is all about making these connections in our experiences. I'm sure there's lots of art teachers out there that get jazzed up to watch a science movie, about the new Mars landing or whatever. And then you're thinking, oh, we could do something like this in the classroom. That's great. I remember seeing about how we could, make little explosions with Alka-Seltzer, and then thinking, oh, I can use that as a painting technique, and we can talk about science, and we can take the kids outside, and, thinking about how they can kind of connect. And then how do we personalize it? Well, they can choose colors off of our emotional color wheel, and, pick red if you're really excited today, pick blue if you're kind of shy today, pick green if you feel like you're ready to grow, purple if you just want to nap. We can play with these ideas to kind of personalize things, so that later on when they show you their thing, they can talk about it. Oh, I used red because I was really angry this morning, but then I used blue because I calmed down and I really enjoyed the art class. It's not just throwing stuff and just, well, we're going to throw stuff. There's nothing nothing worthy, kind of happening in that kind of an experience. So what is this about? It's kind of free flow thinking here, but I'm thinking about this quote. Do we teach art or do we teach kids through art? And I think it's really important that as we lesson plan, as we're thinking about what we want to do with our kids and stuff, that we think about the kids first and then the project second. If we're thinking about the project first, what about the kids? You can do it, but it's not healthy. So I would encourage you, please explore my blog. I've got lots of free stuff there that you're welcome to steal and use, and make some connections and run off on ideas. Think of how you can meet the kids where they are. How can you connect with the kids? Maybe you've got to do bridges. Some idiot put it into your curriculum. Well, think about, what would a bridge to the moon look like? Each kid's going to have a different interpretation to that. How about, draw yourself in bed and draw a bridge going to your dreamland? Great. You're going to have lots and lots of different results. If you've got to make those, elements and principle connections, you could certainly talk about, let's use our warm colors for the real world and cool colors for the dream world. Boom! You've got your, you're getting some of your curriculum standards met inside of there. Talking about balance and contrast. There's lots that can be teased out of that. So anyway, this has kind of been on my mind and I thought I would share. And I'd appreciate you commenting below. And what are your thoughts about this? Are we teaching art or are we teaching kids through art? I even go further and say I'm teaching them geometry through art. I'm teaching them history through art. I'm teaching them literacy through art. I'm teaching them literature through art. I'm teaching them languages through art, cultures, all of this kind of stuff. It's just that art happens to be the mode that I'm doing it. And it grabs their attention and kind of holds them there. And it's an amazing motivator. So again, comment below. What do you think? What's coming to your mind? Share. I'd really appreciate that. Thanks.